Welcome to part 10 of Working with Latex with me, Catasta Charisma. In this video we will look at how to incorporate the various colours and cap shoulders. Out of the three colours, the trickiest one to incorporate is the Eton. So let's begin with this one. Place the neckline and shoulders of your body sections on some paper. Both the front and back are initially placed face side down. Place the collars sections on some paper so that the underside of the seam faces up. Apply glue across the underside area of the collar seams and apply a 6mm glue line around the neckline of both body sections. Allow the glue to dry. Apply a 6mm glue line across the shoulders of the front body section. Flip the back body section over so it now lays face side up and apply a 6mm glue line along its shoulders. Flip the front body section so it now lays face side up and spin it so the hemline now sits on the paper. Also spin the back section so the hem sits on the paper too. Apply a 1 cm glue line along the hems. Allow the glue to dry. Remove the paper. Cut yourself a 1 cm wide by width of the roll of rubber sheeting strip. Lay it face down on paper and coat its underside with glue. Let the glue dry and remove the paper. With the front section before you, take the strip and dangle it from one finger until both ends hang level. This is to find its centre. Align the centre of the strip to the centre of the hem and lay out along the hemline, first to one side and then the other. Don't cut off any excess from the sides, but allow the remains of the strip to dangle beyond them. Stroke the strip down using your fingers and press. Overlay one front shoulder upon the corresponding back shoulder. Start this by aligning the internal seam of the front section to the internal seam of the back section. This is a flat seam, so we don't have to flip the work between different working perspectives. Press the seam. You will likely find that the ends of the shoulders don't finish smoothly, so just trim away any little bit of excess. Take the centre front pattern template and use it to find the middle of the neckline and place a mark. Initially it can be a little confusing as to how the collar will join to the neckline. Essentially, find the middle marker on the neckline and overlay it upon the underside seam extension of the front of the collar and work your way around to the back. Don't quite bring the neckline of the body sections right up to the internal laminated edge of the seam, but stay just slightly away from it, by around 1 mm. This will produce a kind of groove between the body section's neckline and the internal edge of the lamination of the collar, which will help the collar to fold over the neckline on wearing. If you overlap the internal laminated edge of the collar, it won't be able to fold around the neckline and will poke upwards and out from the neck. Join the second shoulder together and incorporate the second collar section. The second collar can be a bit more fiddly because we have less room to clearly work within and the garment is now taking on more three-dimensional properties. But take your time, you are not in a race. If you feel that the collar is running too short at the back, that is that the back of the collar isn't fully reaching around to the zipper, then you can always incorporate it into the neckline from the underside perspective. This is slightly trickier as it is more difficult to see the internal edge of the laminated layer. Once happy with how the collar looks, press all seams and clean down any residual glue and markings. We are next going to join in the shoulder caps. Make sure you have the correct caps allocated to their appropriate shoulders, with the front of the caps towards the front of the body, etc. Lay your body sections face down on some paper so that the paper lays under the armholes. Mark on your caps where the middle of the shoulder line is. Do this preferably on the side of the cap that shows the underside seam. Apply glue across the underside area of the seam and apply a glue line around the middle area of the armholes. This exact area may be marked out if desired, or if you are like me, you may simply apply a line of glue slightly longer than required out from either side of the shoulder seam. As always, allow all glue to dry. Remove the paper and flip the body sections over so they lay face side up. Align the shoulder seam of the armhole to the center mark of the cap and lay the armhole around the cap seam by bringing the armhole edge this time right up to the internal laminated edge of the cap, so they practically butt together. This produces a more flush finish across the shoulder and into the cap. When happy, press and clean down any residual glue and markings. In contrast to the Eton collar, the Peter Pan collar is the easiest one to incorporate, as basically it sits flat around the neckline rather than folding around it. In this mock-up I apply a glue line around the face side of the neckline of the body sections and around the revealed underside seam area of the collar sections. Let the glue dry and then lay it around into place. If any amount of the underlying neckline remains poking out from under the collar, simply trim it down. In this case, the step seam of the lamination of the collar isn't about producing a thinner layer that permits the folding over of the edge around the neckline, but rather about simply having an underside to join to the body. If the collar had been fully laminated, this would have resulted in a bond between two face-side surfaces, rather than an underside to face-side surface. Such a bond would be much weaker. As the footage for completing the longer dress didn't record, I have, as for the Peter Pan collar, made a mock-up of the Mandarin collar with body section and fake zipper. This is a relatively easy collar to incorporate, if a little fiddly towards the end. This time, instead of the collar being joined underneath the neckline, as with the Eton collar, it joins over the top, on the face side, as with the Peter Pan one. Only rather than laying down upon the body, it travels up the neck. We therefore apply a glue line around the underside of the collar's neckline and around the face side of the body section's neckline. You may also wish to apply more glue over the zipper by this stage of construction. For the Mandarin collar, we also have to have both shoulders joined, as this time the collar is as one complete piece rather than two. We could have the Peter Pan and Eton collars as full complete pieces, but we would have to transfer the zip opening over to the front of the dress rather than at the back. We initially begin the overlaying of the collar neckline upon the body neckline by finding the middle of the collar and aligning it to the middle of the front neckline. We then take the collar around the neckline to the back. At the back, we may learn that the collar is a little long, so don't quite fully lay the collar into place at the back yet. This won't happen so much if you incorporate the collar into the neckline from an underside perspective. You will also realize that the collar needs to be incorporated into the rest of the zipper. To trim back the collar to size, simply lay it over the zipper and mark where it aligns with the zipper slot for the teeth, and trim off any excess. To trim down the zipper to size, lay the collar again down to the zipper. This is just to find where the zipper height needs trimming down to. Trim the zipper down to 1/2 centimeter below the top of the collar. Make sure the pull is below the level being trimmed off. Peel back the skin guard and cut a curved top edge. Wrap strips around the ends of the zip to act as stoppers for the zipper pull. One can find instructions for this in the manual, as well as for the short dress in part 7 of this video series. Fold back the ends of the collar and place paper under them. Apply a 3 cm wide area of glue across the underside ends of the collar. Allow the glue to dry. We can now lay the collar down into place upon the zipper. Press and clean down any residual glue and markings. That's it for now. Join me next time for the last part of this video series in which we close up the side seams of the tube dress.